as you know, there are a few things I value more in life than the feedback from you guys. Even when it's as hateful as it was after I put out my extremely, ridiculously, way too early top 25 rankings for the upcoming season. To remind everyone, the season is about 7 months away. I was sitting around on a random day in February and said, Jesse, someone on Twitter just asked for my way too early top 25 ranking. Should I do it? I don't think I should. And Jesse said, yeah, let's do it. Because all Jesse cares about is clicks. He's a click merchant. Me, I hold myself to a higher standard, but I didn't on that day. So we put together our way too early top 25. I even had Prez put way too early on the graphic. Now, what I thought that would do is somewhat stabilize the comments. It did no such thing. So this is what I put out, the way too early commissioners poll. This thing could change. Someone could fall out of the top 10. Someone could rise up from the 20s to the top 10. Mind you, no games are going to be played between now and August. It's just the way that these sorts of things work. By far, the most common piece of feedback we got was Notre Dame's overrated at number 1. Notre Dame. And it wasn't just Notre Dame's overrated. It was people questioning my integrity. Look, I know this will shock you guys in South Bend. A lot of folks called me a Notre Dame homer. Chuck said, you prove you don't know ball when you put Notre Dame number 1. Chuck did not offer his top 25. And there are a lot of people, you know what, let me just pause this and let me also remind you, we have a rule around here, and that rule is, I don't care if you criticize me when it comes to predictions, as long as you offer your prediction. Because what happens a lot is what happened in these replies. People were looking at my top 25, and then they posted my last year's top 25 at this time. You know, I had the audacity to have Clemson top 10. You know, with the rest of the free-thinking world, I had Clemson top 10. Penn State, I had top 10. The audacity to have Penn State top 10. And so everyone is really good at dunking on preseason rankings in January once you know the end of the story. So I don't have a problem with you taking shots at me. But like I told a kid who did it, I said, hey, Curtis or Connor, started with a C, give me your predictions for the 2026 season right now. And to this point, he hasn't gotten back to us. He may be busy. It's a busy time of year for us all. So I don't have a problem with you hating on this. You got to give me your top 25, and then you got to meet me in January so I can pick it apart. Because, see, this isn't my final. This is just way too early. I may just jumble them all up and start over again. Why is Notre Dame at number 1 so egregious? Does anyone want to remind me of that? Notre Dame was perceived to be a top 10 team to finish the year from a power rating standpoint. I know they didn't make the playoff. A lot of people thought they should have made the playoff. But at the very least, you got a lot of those pieces coming back. C.J. Carr, another year under his belt at quarterback. Really good roster. Secondary is going to be incredible. Like, why in the world is it egregious to think Notre Dame should be number 1? What criteria do you use that suggests Notre Dame is laughable at number 1? And applying that criteria, who should be number 1? Also, where should Notre Dame be? Because I had one guy that came at me and said, no, you're insane having Notre Dame number 1. I said, where would you have him? He said, 3rd. So, next up, there's a lot of pushback on Alabama. I thought the pushback would be we had Alabama too low, and some of the Bama folks thought we had Bama too low. Jesse, where'd I have them? 13th? I think we had Bama number 13. And someone came at us, many people came at us and said, why would Alabama be that high? Why wouldn't they be that high? Alabama, correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, I may be misremembering. It has been 2 months. Josh came at us and said, what has Bama even done? Well, the answer is nothing. No one's done anything. It's February. We've got over half a year until these games happen. But I'll tell you what they did last year. Did they not make the playoffs and win a game? So I didn't rank them 3rd, guys. I ranked them 13th. How is there any egregiousness to this? Maybe if you don't believe in Keelan Russell or Austin Mack, whoever wins the quarterback battle there, I guess they could be overrated. Like Alabama's absolutely properly rated, if not slightly underrated at number 13. But I thought Bama was properly placed. Hey guys, do me one favor. Check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you are, great. If you're not, It's that easy. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't sign you up for anything. It just helps us do the show this way forever. All right, back to the clip. Penn State. I did understand this. Some people thought we had Penn State way too high. I put Penn State at 15. Like someone said, I assumed you were knowledgeable about football. And by the way, notice, you can never just disagree with someone about football. If you disagree with someone, it's because that person does not know ball. It's not we disagree. Or that person has a bias against you. It's never we just disagree. Anyway, one person said, I assumed that you were knowledgeable about ball, but there's no way you could be commissioner of college football putting Penn State as high as you have on this list. Can you tell me who they have returning? Their roster is subpar. Their high ranking is solely due to their schedule being considered weak. Well, I couldn't care less about their schedule. I didn't take scheduling into account with any of these teams. This is also not a projection of how I think these teams will finish. It is a comparative list of how I think these teams stack up in a vacuum to start the season, if the season were to start today. So Penn State at 15, yeah, I do understand. That's probably one that I have some exposure on. That's one I need to do more work on. I gave my feelings the other night. Like I think if you bring Rocco Becton, if you brought the nucleus of that Iowa State team in, it may lower your ceiling a little bit, but I think it gives Matt Campbell and his staff a pretty high floor, a pretty decently high floor to start. So again, I didn't rank them 5th. I put them 15th. These are rankings. These are not power ratings. And then, I mean, we can't wake up. It can't be a day ending in Y without being accused of SEC bias. So I don't even know if we got one of those, Jesse, but there were a million of those. I mean, you'd sneeze and someone said, yeah, it's an SEC sneeze if I've ever heard one. Nicholas, just as an example, hit us and said, why do we keep giving the SEC this crazy benefit of the doubt? I don't think they deserve half of the top 10. I don't think we're learning the lessons we should be learning, which is to stop ranking SEC teams so high. Where did we learn this lesson, first off? Secondly, this is meant to be predictive, so it's not reactive. Thirdly, how should I rank them? Bradley, throw the rankings back up for a second. So we had half the top 10, he said, were SEC teams. What should we value here? Like what basket should I be putting my eggs in? So Texas is loaded this year. Huge portal team, really good recruiting team. Arch Manning coming back. They're all in. Put them number 2. Where should they be? I don't have any other SEC team higher than 7th, and that's Georgia. Has Georgia performed at any point over the past few years lower than that? Texas A&M and Oklahoma at 8, 9. I'll listen to you if you tell me they're a little bit high. But I'm not just going to listen to you tell me they're high. Those were 2 playoff teams last year, by the way. So I'm not going to listen to you tell me that 2 playoff teams at 8 and 9 are too high without you telling me who belongs ahead of them. You can't just shout nonsense like SEC overrated because you hate the SEC without telling me who belongs there in their place. Because if you think that you're about to just blindly throw Texas Tech at me, without me weaponizing your logic against you and your argument, you're crazy. So LSU's number 10, very, very high variance team, very, very volatile team. We talked about their schedule the other day. They kind of have a front-loaded schedule, then soft in the middle, then a back-loaded schedule. Who do we have? We've got Bama at 13. We just talked about them. Ole Miss at 16. That was, and it's still before we know what's going to happen with Trinidad Chambliss. So I will admit to you, without Chambliss, they're lower. But Ole Miss was just in the playoffs too. Ole Miss at 16. There is no bias there. That's it, right, Jesse? Yeah, there's no other SEC team in the top 20. That's it. So what are we even talking about? If anything, this is as low as we would have had the SEC. If anything, this is sort of reflective of a little bit of a tamped down opinion of the SEC. If you really want to get mad at someone, get mad at FanDuel. FanDuel's the one with real SEC bite. FanDuel's the one that you really ought to go attack. And by attack, I mean with your money. Look at these odds. They got Texas and Georgia and LSU and A&M and Alabama and Oklahoma. They all got them pretty high up there in the odds to win the college football playoff this upcoming year. So if they're overrated by default, that means many teams are underrated, and you should be betting those teams. Should you not? I ask theoretically. Should you not? Way too early means I reserve the right to change those rankings.